So let's get this going. How is your meditation, Burley?
Well, when I do it, I keep waiting for the inspiration, and then sometimes there it is. And then
Uh-huh.
my best ones still are when I listen to one of our group meetings where you say, now it's time for meditation, and I
Uh-huh.
just go into it. But
Okay.
I
Well,
don't know
that's
how deep I'm getting, but
uh-huh.
I keep working at it.
And I'm glad you have a way to get into it. It's still what works the best if you can figure out how to make it a daily habit.
Yes.
Like you brush your teeth
Yeah.
or something you do every day. I can't say like you comb your hair.
Nope. Yeah, I know. I don't comb my hair. And I don't even, I'm supposed to roll it, like this. I
Okay.
don't even do that.
Okay. So I guess it would be like you roll your hair, except you don't do that either. I don't know what to say, but
Yeah.
anyways, if you can make it a habit, then that way it somehow keeps going, and it keeps going even if you're not inspired, because
I see. Yeah.
you're still watching yourself, you're watching your mind, and sometimes it's good to watch your mind when it's not inspired,
Mm,
because there's another chance where you can see what's going on.
I hear you.
Okay. How about you, Doug?
Well, actually, I've been trying the same thing. Barley mentioned that a couple of or a few sessions back about about replaying our group
Hmm.
from the video or the
Yes.
download that you send us. So, and I've been trying, and I've been doing that, and I found that that does help.
Very good.
Helps me also,
Yes.
and
And
also I got I'm sorry, Richard. Go ahead.
no, no, please talk.
Oh, okay. Well, and I've had this problem in my mind for the last few weeks, and I finally this morning got it straightened out. So it's something that's been really nagging me.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I think getting that straightened out in my mind
Hmm.
is going to really help me in my meditation forward.
Cool.
Very good. Uh, can I ask you what the problem was? You don't have to say.
Oh, well, I don't know. It's nothing. It's probably wouldn't be important to anybody else, but
Well, if it's
uh,
important to
the
you.
well, the reason I moved here to Mexico City was I had two friends here, a couple, a
Hmm.
straight couple, man and woman, uh, who I knew from Guadalajara, and they moved here and really liked it. And I was living in El Paso, Texas, and really hated it. And they told me how wonderful Mexico City was.
Hmm.
So I moved here. It was just about a year ago,
Oh,
and discovered it really is a pretty nice city. Um, at least in a lot of areas. Of course, there's a lot of areas that aren't, but a lot of areas are really nice. And I was lucky to find an apartment in one of those areas. But the problem is that recently my friendship with them has sort of been going downhill, which is there's a problem of a single person having a friendship with a couple,
Right.
I think.
Yes.
And especially if my friendship was with the woman, with the female side, and and her husband has started getting kind of hostile to me, and I think that he's been influencing her.
Hmm.
So they've both been, uh,
Oh,
you know, it hasn't been good, and this has been really bothering me.
Of course.
Um, and finally, today I decided the hell with it.
Yeah.
That's, it's so it goes, and I've lost friendships before, and so there's no need to continue stressing over it.
Hmm.
I'm just going to let it go.
That's good. I was gonna uh, say that, the end of the instructions that I give every time are receive whatever is experienced and then just let it go. And
Mm.
you were able to do that. And, you know, actually, what power there is in being able to just let things go.
Well, there is, yes, I agree. And
Yes,
this is a big one. It isn't like I have a whole lot of friends.
right,
So this was not so easy
right, of course,
to to recognize that I had to just let it go.
Well,
right.
Doug, you have a whole lot of friends here, you could come back.
Oh, thank you, Carol. I may. You never know. I do get around.
Okay, that's good. Now, uh, Daniel joined us. He was here, I think, last week, and he's come on now. How was your meditation, Carol?
Not so good this week. I've been more agitated about the war and stuff than sometimes. And there was, well, a couple days we had something, and so we didn't meditate together. And then one time you did, and I just didn't feel like it. So
Hmm.
not a good week for that.
Okay. And again, not a good week because you of this agitation about the stuff going on in the world.
And we're supposed to let it go, but not easy.
I understand. I've heard that. You need to get some hints from Doug.
That's not easy.
It's not easy. It's one of the things that gets easier though. That's a skill that can be
Hmm.
practiced and it gets better. So hello there, Daniel. We'll get to you in a moment.
Hi.
So how was your meditation, Cheryl?
It's been pretty good. It hasn't been every day. On the days when I'm following a set routine, it's great. It just drops right into place. Um, Lots of uproar in my life right now. So some days it just kind of gets missed and I go, oh, it's 9 o'clock at night and I haven't meditated yet.
So
And
here,
sometimes I go ahead and do it at 9 o'clock, but if I do it at 9 o'clock, I'm more likely to fall asleep than anything
right,
else. So it's
right.
kind of pointless.
It's harder for me to meditate late at night too for that
Yeah,
reason.
I'm my most successful time is first thing in the morning.
Okay. And
Yeah.
it's funny here while you say for you, it really has become a habit and a part of your routine. So when
Hmm.
something happens that upsets your routine,
Yeah,
then it's hard to get it in.
it is. And sometimes I'm successful anyway, and sometimes not. It's just a little iffier.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, it's been going well. My experience with meditation actually has been that if I feel like I don't know if making progress is the right term, but if things coming up, it doesn't usually happen during meditation. It happens some other time. And I
Right.
think, oh, that's interesting. And
Hmm.
I heard, I was watching a seminar by, I think it was Sharon Salzberg, and she said that. She said, like not everybody gets these inspiring moments while they're meditating. Sometimes it just happens in their life.
Right.
It might be spurred on by meditating, but it doesn't necessarily happen right then. And
Right.
certainly my experience has been that way.
And again, when what is happening when you're meditating is you're observing yourself and looking at things in ways that you don't regularly do. And there's all this stuff that's just kind of chugging inside your mind, and it
Mhm.
comes out how it comes out.
That's right. Yeah.
Very good. How about you, Daniel? How's your practice?
Um, I is everybody getting like a bunch of readback? I'm getting reverb really bad. I got some computer things, that's why I was late. Um, the meditation was okay this week. Haven't been feeling great though.
Uh huh.
Um, yeah, I have like my mom was in surgery this week. My best friend here had some stuff, and I have well, my citizenship is like under review, and that's all like after, well, I got an email months ago saying you have to leave the EU in 4 weeks, and um you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, everything cut out on me. um and it freaked me out to be honest, because everything was in 8 weeks for reply to 8 weeks for reply. And so getting that, and then we got all the paperwork in, and then months and months and months went by, and I didn't know if I was gonna, get shipped out or what. And just days ago, finally somebody was in touch. So all that pressure and that emotion from not knowing really kind of hit me heavy, and I'm still kind of struggling with it. So the meditation has been helpful. It's been really helpful. I'm not sure how I'd be without it. Um, but yeah, so I'm just kind of going through a turbulent time, kind of like the whole world as it seems. So, but so just trying to take it day by day, and you know, at least 5 minutes every day. But I try to get 15 to 20 when I'm feeling a little bit able to sit and um, yeah, just be with myself and feel what I'm going through, and just acknowledge it and try to let it go instead of internalizing it and then developing more pressure from it, and then realizing that I'm clenching my fist, and why should I be clenching my fist? But you know, so
Hmm.
yeah, I've been taking trying to read some of the books. You know, I'm trying to study too, so I try to do a little of both each day. So yeah, I'm not trying to take on too much, but just trying to just little progression every day. So
That's good. I think it's great that you're trying to do something every day, even if it's just 5 minutes.
mhm.
It's
Yeah,
that's actually a bigger deal than I can tell you because it keeps the flow going.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, very good. Let us then uh, have a little time to meditate. And we are now, mindfulness is present moment awareness, paying attention on purpose to the present moment, non judgmentally. Feel your breath in and out. Fully receive whatever is experienced. Then let it go. All right. Let me adjust my screen. Okay. Now, today I have more koans from the Gateless Gate. That's the ancient book of koans from about 800 AD in China. These koans are all paradoxical things that are really intended for you to understand experientially, not so much cognitively with your mind. And with these koans today, I'm going to take you to the final step in meditation. When we start with meditation, we start by just paying attention, becoming aware of the objects in our consciousness. This is consciousness of objects. This is how the brain works, only by consciousness of objects. This is how mindfulness works, giving attention to sensations like the breath and more subtle things like thoughts and feelings. All of these are objects of consciousness. The final step in meditation is consciousness without an object, consciousness of consciousness. This is advanced practice, so don't concern yourself with whether or not you get it, whether or not you fully understand it. Just take it in and let it carry you wherever it does. The first is Nansen's No Mind, No Buddha. A monk asked Nansen, "Is there any teaching no master has ever preached before?" Nansen replied, "Yes, there is." "What is it?" asked the monk. Nansen answered, "It is not mind, it is not Buddha, it is not things." Now here is Mumon's comment. Mumon is the one that put these together. He's a little bit of a smart guy in these comments, a smart aleck, I think. Being asked a question, Nansen gave away his entire treasure words and suffered a run of bad luck. Nansen was too kind and lost his treasure. Verily, words have no power. Even if a mountain may become a blue ocean, Nansen will never make it comprehensible to you. My comment: what is it that is not mind, not Buddha or anyone else, and not things either? It is the consciousness that lights up your existence right now, at this moment. Is that a mind, a Buddha, or a thing? You might think it is your mind, but who or what knows this mind? You know the busy mind, you know the quiet mind. The mind then is known. Who is the knower? And this knowledge, this knowing, only has power when you discover it for yourself, when it is your direct experience. The words of someone else do not bring it to you. It doesn't matter how many times you hear it. It only matters when you realize it for yourself and it becomes your direct experience. So again, what is it within you right now that is not mind, not person, not things? Look and see. You know it, just not as an object. It is always there. It has always been there. Ask yourself and open to the experience, the immediate knowledge. The next is Eno's flag. The wind was flapping a temple flag, and two monks were arguing about the flag. One said, "The flag is moving." The other said, "The wind is moving." They couldn't agree, no matter how hard they debated. The sixth patriarch, Eno, happened to come by and said, "Not the wind, not the flag, it is the mind that is moving." The two monks were struck with awe. Mumon's comment: "It is not the wind that moves. It's not the flag that moves. It's not the mind that moves." How shall we understand the sixth patriarch? If you gain an intimate grasp of its meaning, you will see how the two monks, intending to buy iron, got gold. The patriarch could not repress his compassion for the two monks, so we have this disgraceful scene. Wind, flag, and mind moves, all confirmed as guilty of error. Only we know our mouth is opened. We do not know our speech went wrong. Comment: where does any activity occur? You see it with your eyes. Your eyes send it to your brain. Your brain constructs a mental image, and you know that mental image. That is the mind that is moving. This is the wisdom being imparted here. But I have to ask, who or what knows the mind? Is it the not mind, not person, not thing spoken of by Nansen in the koan I just read to you? In what does the flag seem to move? And the last of the koans for today, a monk asked Joshu, "With what intention did Bodhidharma come to China?" Joshu answered, "An oak tree in the front garden." Mumon's comment: if you grasp Joshu's answer precisely, there is no Shakyamuni Buddha, the historical Buddha, before you, and no Maitreya Buddha, the future Buddha, after you. Words do not express fact. Phrases do not reveal the delicate motion of mind. He who accepts words is lost. He who adheres to phrases is deluded. Comment. The tree in the garden just grows naturally. It does not will a branch to form or a leaf to grow. It just grows. I have also heard this saying as a fruit tree in the garden. I think this is clearer as a metaphor. The fruit tree just bears fruit. That's what it does. It doesn't ask you whether you are good or not good when you take its fruit. It just has fruit. That's what it does. It just fulfills its nature. How about you? What's your nature? Now we have a video from Alan Watts, and this continues these deep things we're hearing today. This video is Being Alone.
And a shaman is the holy man in a culture that is still hunting. It isn't settled, it isn't agrarian. There is a very strong and important difference between a shaman and a priest. A priest receives his ordination from his superiors. He receives something from a tradition which is handed down. A shaman doesn't. He receives his enlightenment by going off into the forest by himself, to be completely alone. A shaman is a man, in other words, who has undergone solitariness. He's gone away into the forest to find out who he really is, because it's very difficult to find that out while you're with other people. And the reason is that other people are busy all the time telling you who you are, in many, many ways, by the laws they impose on you, by the behavior ruts they set on you, by the things they tell you, by the fact that they always call you by your name, and by the fact that when you live among people you have to be in a state of ceaseless chatter. But if you want to find out who you are before your father and mother conceived you, who you really are, you almost have to go off by yourself. Go into the forest and stop talking, even stop thinking words, and be absolutely alone, and listen to the great silences. And then, if you're lucky, you recover from the illusion that you're just little me, the so-and-so, and you attain the state of nirvana, which means the blown-out state, the relieved state, the sigh of relief. Nirvana may be translated into English as, phew, I've at last discovered that I don't have to survive. I can survive, of course, but I don't really have to. Because you discover, you see, that what you really are doesn't have to survive, because it's what there is. The real you is it, or that, tat tvam asi, that art thou, as the Hindus say. So then, in the normal life of India, which is not a hunting culture, but a settled culture, there are priests, but there is something beyond the priest. That is to say, when a man or woman has fulfilled his or her life in the world of society, it's the normal thing to do for a person to quit their status in society and become what's called a forest dweller. That is almost, you see, to go back to the hunting culture. They divide people into two classes, grihasta, which means householder, and vanaprastha, which means forest dweller. And the older people all hand over their occupations and positions to their children and enter the stage of vanaprastha, or become a shramana and go outside the stockade. I'm speaking metaphorically. They sometimes do actually, they sometimes don't. And become a nobody. They give up their name. That is to say, the label which designates who they are in terms of caste or class. They become unclassified people. That's why, strictly speaking, you see, Hinduism and Buddhism are not religions. You can classify the religions. You can say, what's your denomination? Baptist, Methodist, Catholic, Presbyterian, Episcopalian, Quaker, etc., 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 you see. But strictly speaking, a vanaprastha, a shramana, has no label. He is an unlabeled bottle. So, in the time when the Buddha lived, about 600 BC, the Hindu system had become somewhat decadent. It isn't altogether clear what had happened to it, but it is certain that it did seem in some way to be in need of reform. And so there were many reasons for this. And the Buddha, as a young man, being basically troubled by the great problems that we're all troubled with, the problem of suffering and the problem of what all this universe is about, he endeavored to follow the methods that were then being used by people who were shramanas or vanaprasthas, forest dwellers. And at that time, it's very apparent that the main method that these people were using was an ascetic discipline. Starvation, very arduous meditation practices, probably self-flagellation and things of that kind. And it's said that for 7 years he practiced these austerities. But he found out that they didn't lead to liberation. And all the people who were practicing them knew they didn't either. But they felt that that was only because they weren't doing it hard enough. And so he propounded instead the middle way. The way that led to liberation from the rat race that I've drawn here, neither through austerities nor through pleasure-seeking. See, these are the two ways, the two paths. The people who say the whole point of life is to enjoy it, to get the most out of it, you see. And the other people who tried that, and then they found it was sour grapes or something, you know, or they burned their fingers in the pursuit of pleasure. The girl that was so beautiful eventually fell apart, or just turned into a shrew, and whatever it was. And so they said, instead, let us torment ourselves. A lot of people enjoy this, or get something special out of it. I was in Mexico this summer, and what I went there for was to study Mexican Catholicism, where they make a great cult of suffering. And I was very puzzled about this and wanted to understand it. And everywhere, you know, they have these ghastly, tormented Christs, all drooling with blood, hanging on crosses in very contorted positions. And I realized there are certain people who find that the sitting on the tip of a spike is the realest place in the world. Because when you're on the tip of a spike, you know you're there. There's no doubt about it. And also you know that you're expiating for everything. This, somehow by sitting on the spike, you are paying for your guilt. And so long as you hurt, you're all right. See? So these shramanas were doing something of the same kind. And the Buddha became enlightened, became a Buddha. He woke up at the moment when he gave up that kind of quest, the moment he gave up, as we should say, trying to take the kingdom of heaven by storm. Now, what does this mean? It means that in his time, the way of liberation had become competitive, which meant it was on the wrong track. There are a lot of people who, we call it the holier than thou attitude, but we find it today with some objectionable Westerners who go over to Japan to study Zen Buddhism and then come home and brag about the great disciplines they've undergone and say, I sat with my legs crossed in one position for 10 hours as distinct from somebody else who only sat for 5. And always there's this tendency, you know, to have a marathon and be in a competition with others or with oneself about these things. But the moment you do that, you're back on the wheel. The best thing you can get by asceticism is to get up to the Deva world. You can't get anywhere else by it. You may get down to the Naraka world by asceticism too. Read the story Thais by Anatole France. So he found, you see, that the real path, the middle way, the meaning of the middle way is that it's the path that can't be followed.
Now, in this video, we notice that Alan Watts presents Zen as a paradox, a path that cannot be followed. If it's a path that can't be followed, how come he's telling it to us? Why does he do this? Your mind struggles with the paradox, and finally, it just gives up. And then, in a while, suddenly, you just know. It's not a thought, but you just know, with a complete understanding. You know it all, not just pieces of it, you know it as a whole. And that's where Zen is pointing. Okay, now we'll have our final meditation for today. And the instruction for today is try to see a thought. Just remain aware within yourself and just wait for the next thought. You'll find a quiet space waiting for this thought. If a thought comes, just notice it and let it pass. Where is the next thought, by the way, is a thought. So just wait for the next thought. Just wait for the next thought. All right. And let's close with a short chant. Om Shanti 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 Om. Peace, peace, peace. All right. Any questions or comments or discussion about today?
The last thing that you were suggesting is to try to see a thought. Is that
Uh-huh.
what you said?
Yes.
Well, I was seeing this kind of a ribbon circling around.
Uh-huh.
I like that because it wasn't really thinking too much. It was just a visual.
Uh-huh.
It was relaxing.
Well, good. For me, my experience of trying to wait for the next thought is that it's a long wait. And I experience real quietness that way.
Hmm.
So I try to offer you little tricks,
Mhm.
different ways to be able to look at it.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, if that's what we have, then we'll see you next week. Next week, I'm going to talk about the mind. And then namaste. We'll see you then. It's good to see you. It's good to be with you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Namaste.